Hey everybody, today is walkabout day. So I'm going to take you from our development through this little extended part and then around our neighbourhood, which I did for the first time the other day. It's quite interesting. And really, I haven't had breakfast yet and there's so much fruit to eat on the way round. That's the real reason. Anyway, so this is the end of our development. Still in progress, but in the final throes of. And this is possibly what you'd call phase B. But it'll give you an indicator of where the houses start. They build out of the ground over here in Russia, or certainly my development. Let's be more accurate. So our house is about 750, 800 mil, 80 centimeters out of the ground, like this. I'm not a construction specialist, so I don't know the exact reason why, but probably for insulation. A big concrete slab, and in the middle of the concrete slab is earth, like this. So they, what we would call, shore it up on the outside, concrete all around, and obviously where the internal walls are going, very strong, lots of steel, and then they fill it with earth, and that sits there like that and gets packed down, and then that will be concrete slabbed over, sorry, I'm whizzing about a bit, and end up like that one, and it's built from there. So I guess that the reason for that is for insulation and also for cost. I mean, you can imagine pouring 80 centimetre thick slab of concrete, plus obviously it goes in the ground as well, so there'll be a lot of concrete. Next is blocks, and there's very little what I would call pug, glue, bond, whatever you want to call it, in between the blocks. They're very sparse, but from what I saw, they're obviously hollowed out inside and there's pug in between them, so all the weight really is on the blocks. It's not on layers and layers of pug. If you think about building, a lot of the concrete blocks that I see in the UK where they build block work, they do nice, 10-12 mil thick seams of pug. I keep calling it pug, I don't know what the proper term is. And of course that's the strength, that's where the structure is, everything's being built on that. It's not so much the concrete block. That something's only as strong as its weakest point, and that's obviously the weakest point. So it's quite nice here where the blocks pretty much sit on the blocks and the glue is just really to stop them separating. So there's a little insight into the first sort of stages of the houses being built, certainly here. Now we're going to wander past the moo cows. You've only got little horns, but you're a lot bigger than me. I'll try not to disturb you too much. So this sort of area here is a bit sort of halfway housey. It's sort of no man's land, so it tends to be a bit of a dumping ground, I think. Good place to stick a couple of cows, really. This one's a lot bigger. Nice cow. Please don't eat me. Another one. Then we've got some chickens. And a froggy in the stream. I don't know if you can see him. and entering into, I suppose, possibly what would be a farm area, or was, hence the cows, I guess. Bit of construction going on. Brand new houses being built over there. One on the end looks quite nice tall windows. Having to manually wind in on the zoom, unfortunately. And another, I call them short houses now, but single story, new one being built. And again, there's probably a noticeable difference between colours depending on where the development is. You've got different colour brickwork. Our house, for example, has got yellow brickwork, like that one over there in the distance, underneath the tree. See, yellow brickwork with a brown roof, and we've got conventional colour bricks, I suppose, with a grey roof, and very light grey, almost white bricks with a grey roof. And you can mix and match. You can have what you want, really. Now, obviously, this is a farm area because there's lots of farm equipment. Lovely set of discs. Discs are in real good condition there, these things. So they've not seen much work at all. And we've got a drill. Obviously a sprayer. And lots of other, generally farmy kind of stuff. All sorts. Some stuff's been there a long time. Long time. You might wonder how I know that's a drill. I had a misspent youth. Very good friend of mine, who we, I say, keep in touch. It's, a year can go by before we speak to each other, sometimes a bit longer, because he moved to the United States from the UK, and then to Canada, and then back to the US, and as you may have guessed, he's a farmer. So for me, in my youth, I'd finish work and drive straight down the farm, and he had 1,000 acres, and we would just play around on the farm. Had motocross bikes, buggies, all sorts of stuff. Just great fun. Shotguns, we'd go shooting the pigeons, and just generally kid's dream. But I wasn't a kid, obviously, but just a lovely adult playground, really. Whizzing about in buggies. We had a right laugh with those. Rolled them over a couple of times. Racing the traffic on the motocross bikes. Misspent youth, maybe, but kept me out of trouble. And lots of late night parties in the corn barn, barbecues, just some good times. And he's a really lovely guy. So Rob, if you ever see this video, miss you, mate. Hopefully our paths will cross one day. Anyhow, back to videos. So what we're going to see on this wander is some really old houses being replaced, I would say, with some new ones. And this one's quite a new one. And the old Soviet style, people love to use that, don't they? Soviet style. The older stuff, before Russia was Russia. Somebody will correct me and tell me it's always been Russia. Are all gradually getting replaced, I suppose, as the older generation dies off, hands it down to their family, or there is no family to hand it down to, and it just falls into disrepair. Developers will buy the land and they'll gradually get renewed. So one of the things I love about this country is the real, I hate to use the word, it's so cliche, darling, so last year, darling, the real eclectic building of developments and houses, etc. And you see very, very rarely two houses that look the same. Look at this, for example. Lovely. Obviously an orchard, but it's on what you call freeland, so when it's cherry season, walk along and eat cherries. Walnut tree, they're everywhere. They just grow. They grow for fun, those things. I've got personal experience with a walnut tree. Damn thing. They really do like to live. But yeah, as you can see, you've got, you know, some really old, falling down kind of houses. It's got a satellite dish on it and power going to it, internet, and obviously a log burner coming out the roof. So clearly it's a dwelling. It's not just a shack or an outbuilding. And then you've got next to it brand new buildings. And again, this is another thing that's common. You will see this, half-built buildings, and they will sit like that for years sometimes. Sometimes, you know, projects end for various reasons, but sometimes over here they're not actually ended. They're just kind of in mid-flow, because people that work up in the north like to come and retire down to the south. So quite often, if they're planning their future, they'll they buy a plot of land and they'll start building quite a few years before they actually come down and retire. So you'll see houses like this that lie dormant, or look like they're lying dormant, for a few years, and then all of a sudden they've got windows in and there's a car on the drive. Fresh eggs. Look at that old garage, look. Awesome. Yeah, so as I say, people will look to retire down here, and that's another reason why you see newer houses in between old ones. I mean, that's what you call a sunshade, next to that's what you call a carport. Very common down here to have carports on your house, on your property, for obvious reasons, the sun. But that's nice. Nicely set back. You've got the forest behind, right next to a very old house. And as I said earlier, this is one of the things I love about being over here. Just every time you go out, you see something different. And there's always something different going on. There's always somebody building something. Some land that's been taken over and a new house going up. Somebody's extending their property. And you get some big houses out here. That's another thing that's nice. And I think now there's a law that's been passed regarding the sale of land for development, and it has to be a minimum of 600 metres. Hey doggy, keeping out the sun. So yeah, minimum of 600 metres, square metres of land, and that's just to make sure that people have got some space around them. You know, none of this Lego like we get in the UK. you know, these 2 up, 2 downs, and they get 200 of them in a 100-metre stretch of road. There's none of that. People need some land because they do like to grow things out here. Most Russians grow stuff. I'm just asking the wife which way to head. That's the way we went last time. It's got a rickety old bridge on it. Common, bench or some seating. Sat on 2 tree stumps, that one. You see it, not so much now, but obviously a few years ago in Russia that was a common thing, that homeowners would just sit outside the front of their house enjoying the weather, chatting to strangers as they walk past. Not so common now because, as I said, people are developing these older homes and they're putting up their nice big gates and their fences. This is, I won't say strange, but just, you've got a very open fence and then you've got a completely closed car gate and a personal gate. Just makes you wonder why. You could just, that would look a lot nicer if it was open like the fence. Again, another what we call modern style. It's pretty hot today, so you're lucky I'm out here doing this. Because this, time-wise, is swimming pool o'clock. Now, because we've come a different way, one, I don't know where I'm going, and two, I'm missing out on my breakfast. It's all the plum trees, I think, were the other way. Oh well. Walk 100 yards, find another plum tree. Now, hopefully when we double back, we'll go through an area that was, I don't want to keep saying old Soviet style, but an area that obviously was an orchard back in the day. Plums, free growing. Help yourself, have a nibble. Lovely old house, look at that. See what I mean? Next to a new one. Yeah, lost my train of thought then. I got distracted by plums who were misses. Yeah, so hopefully we're going to walk through an orchard, an old style orchard. It's all overgrown now. It's not kept. And obviously, back in the day, it was maintained, but it's on what you call free land now. So, you know, it's just open to the people. Good day to you, sir. Not confident enough in my Russian to respond. He probably just thinks I'm an English ignorant bastard. Anyhow, more new houses sort of squeezed in here. There's 4 being built here, right next to that one. So, like I say, real variety, and that's, you know, I keep saying it just makes going on a walk really pleasant. If you're not a fan of walking, Exhibit A, that'll be me then. My wife, as some of you may know, likes to get me mobile. Apparently she wants me to live longer. Crazy woman. So yeah, if you're not a fan of walking, coming from the UK, that's probably most of us, I guess. It's nice to have a walk that's actually interesting, keeps your interest. You know, in the UK, if I went for a walk, it was Lego. I was walking around Lego town. Oh yeah, there's 100 of the same house, and we're across the road, and there's 100 of a slightly different style house. And across the road again, there's 100 of a slightly different style house. You get my point. Whereas here, there's always, you can walk the same road, the same area 20 times and walk along and say, oh, I didn't notice that before. You know, like I did with the park down on the seafront. Been down the seafront 100 times, never noticed the park and walked past it. God knows how many times. So another one in, is it mid-build? Part build? Start of a build? And this is another thing you'll find in Russia. Now, these acro jacks may not necessarily cost a lot of money, but they have a value. Same with the steel, I can't remember what it's called. Rebar, I think. Certainly called that in the US, which is all the reinforcement. Again, it's not cheap, it's got a value, and I promise you, if that was left out in the UK, probably anywhere in the UK, wouldn't be there 24 hours later. Somebody would have relocated it, shall we say. Whereas here, I haven't seen a locked site yet. Not one. I see plenty of equipment left out, materials just left out. What do you think that is? I mean, I don't want to point out the obvious, but it all boils down to one word, doesn't it, really? Respect. It's something the West is sorely lacking now. But, I mean, if you suggested something like that to people, and I've asked the question, you know, blimey, do people leave all this equipment out? And people look at you like you're an alien, and they just sort of reply, well, yeah, why wouldn't you? And a couple of times I've said, well, are you worried about it getting stolen? And they literally are horrified. Stolen? Who would steal it? So now, again, please remember, before any Russians chime in and say, oh, it's terrible in this area, I'm only speaking my own personal experience in my region. In Moscow, am I suggesting it's like that? No. But then I don't live in Moscow. I haven't got a clue. Gas. So gas, I don't know, would you call it a substation? I don't know. Anyhow, it's where the gas comes in and then goes back out. Wheelie things to turn it on and off. There's the limit of my knowledge on gas, apart from it smells. Now, is that, do I do that? Yeah, do I? Gas, the smell. Apparently it's put in, is it? So you know it's there. I don't know. Is that an urban myth? Probably. So we're going to go towards the Life in My Hands bridge. I remember it from last time. And this is the start of the old, I'm going to say it, the old Soviet orchard in this area. So we've got an apple tree. Ooh. Buckthorn down there. If you've never had buckthorn or buckthorn juice, try it. It's yellow berries and it's lovely. And again, it's just like a weed out here, it grows everywhere. Or is this buckthorn? See, I don't do gardening. So I'm going to refer to my learned colleague. Wife, what's this stuff? Blackthorn. Buckthorn. Yet. Drop it in the comments if you know before we do. Tern? Never heard of tern. I don't think that one's right, darling. Anyhow, bluish berries, got like a kind of a grey powdery coating to them. Everywhere. And I'm sure you can make something out of them. Okay. Death by falling. Here is the Life in Your Hands bridge. Grand Tour, eat your heart out. Hammond, you had a safety team, you pussy. Now you have to remember, I'm not built like a racing snake. So whilst I won't actually fall through these holes, I'm more likely to break the planks around them. As you can see, health and safety in full effect here. Whee! I'm trying to take every step across at least 2 planks. What are these things? Plums? Yellow ones? Or is this buckthorn? Yeah, I brought my wife along because I thought she was going to be an encyclopedia of all this stuff. It turns out she's getting Google out. Ah dear. A what? Cherry plum. There you go. Google says it's a cherry plum. So it's like a wild plum. She's not sure, but that's all right. So anyhow, more of these blue things. There's loads of them here. It's another part of the orchard. Now, the other day, I found a lovely old glass along here. And I mean a drinking glass. It's sort of half in the ground. Been there a long time. No mould marks on it, no maker's marks. Wife's just asking if I'm going this way, and as it's the way I came last time, the answer would be yes. So yes, darling, I'm going the way I know, not the way I don't know. As I was saying, found a lovely glass, took it home, cleaned it up, boiled it. It's really nice, a bit bigger than a shot glass. I would say it's a vodka glass. No, that's wrong. It is now a vodka glass. So what I am doing, you guessed it, seeing if there's any more. I didn't think to look at the time. So there's a glass picked up, put it in my pocket. I'm clever like that, you see. And I still haven't had my breakfast. More apples. I did have a lovely apple off one of these trees the other morning. And this is kind of a little loop round back to our development. And on the edge of our development, we have a church. Very modern. What's the word? Contemporary. Yeah, let's use that one for a while. So there we go. Nice contemporary building, darling. Very nice. Lots of glass frontage, creating a lovely aspect. Should have been an estate agent in London, shouldn't I? Oh, love it. But no, nice building, actually. Barn style. A nice looking building. Big glass atrium at the front, which is where the stairs are. I like that. I like new and old. I like the way they clash together sometimes. I don't always believe in seamlessly blending. I think it's good to show old and new and the contrast between them. And I do like it when there's a brand new building next to a 100-year-old building that's falling to bits. The health and safety team have been here recently. I shall show you. They've put a brace across this just to make sure these don't slip apart. If you're walking across and they split, imagine that. I don't think that's its problem, to be honest. I'd say the problem lied more in the construction. Or maybe it's weighted. Maybe it's designed for different weights. So you've got Bullock on the right, and you've got Sprogg on the left, and down the middle for the ladies. And there we go, health and safety team, been out with their special safety tape, cordoning off the area, primarily to stop people nicking the fruit probably. But as you can see, these houses are all still under construction, driveways still being built, etc, etc, gullies being dug, drainage being put in, lovely sunflowers, lots of sunflowers in this region. Oh, I think that's a cool building. That'll make a lovely house. I know it's a church, darling. I've already done that bit. Gentianer, that's all I can say. Anyhow, here endeth the tour. Please wipe your feet, clean your boots before you go in. Please like and subscribe. Please share, most important to me. Obviously, subscription is great. Please put some comments in. Drop some comments, it helps with the algorithm, and I'm interested to hear what you think. You know, do you like this particular kind of content? Do you want to see something different? We had a little poll, and one of the options was a wander around my neighbourhood. So it's your own fault if you don't like this, because you voted for it. So yeah, like, subscribe, please share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.